So this panel is called The Balanced Woman. And this is a really important panel because wellness needs to be a part of every investor's life. It is critical for you to have wellness and be self-centered in your self-care so that you're able to tackle all of the trials and tribulations of being a real estate investor. Um, on the stage we have Elizabeth, and she is she is with Cardinal Financial. And then we have Lisa Angel Smith, and she is a wellness practitioner. She has form. I'm sorry, I don't want to say it wrong.
I'm a health coach, plant-based health coach, and I'm the founder of the Plant Protocol. We've been in business 10 years.
Yes, yes. So we will jump into the questions. And the first question is for Lisa. Lisa, what does wellness look like for a woman juggling real estate investing, a W 2 job, and a family? Give us a realistic daily, weekly routine that actually works without burning out.
Yes. Okay. So the way I want to answer my questions today, if it's okay with you guys, I want to do be do. So first I want to tell you who you need to become, and then I'm going to tell you what to do. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So how does a super busy woman, entrepreneur, super driven, balance their wellness? What's a realistic daily habit? So the first thing I need to tell you is who you need to be. First thing I need you to believe is that anything that requires you to compromise your health in pursuit of it is not a sacrifice, it's a bad decision.
Ooh.
Okay. So I need you to believe that. So just like your properties, your health is an asset. And just like your properties, if you neglect it, it will become a liability. So you want your health to always be an asset and not a liability. So I need you to take care of it just like you do your properties. So that's what I need you to who I need you to be. Now here's what I need you to do. I'm gonna give you 5 things that ideally I love for you to do every single day. The first is start every single day with water, at least 25 ounces every single day, top of the morning. Get rid of the caffeinated drinks and start by hydrating. The next thing I need you to do is spend at least 10 minutes or more on mindfulness, centering yourself, being super clear about your intention and what you're inviting into your life and into your space. The third thing I need you to do is spend some time with God. One of the things we often say or hear is that when we have ideas or we get divine downloads, we don't know if it's our idea or God's idea. The way you get to know someone's voice is by spending time with them. Same thing for God. Number 4, I need you to move at least 5 days a week. And number 5, I need you to eat like you got some sense. Okay. And the final thing I'll say is that the rigor of whatever routine you decide for your health should be dependent on what you're battling or what you're not battling. So, what that means is some of our routines need to be a little more intense because we're in the midst of a health crisis. Some of us are currently dealing with health issues, obesity, high blood pressure, autoimmune conditions, depression, anxiety, heart disease. If you're in treatment for something, your routine needs to be way more rigorous. If you've already done the work to optimize your health, then you can be on a maintenance routine and it doesn't have to be as rigorous. But don't think that doing just a little bit is enough if you're battling something. That makes sense, y'all?
Yes. Thank you for that. Elizabeth, as a lender, you see financial stress patterns. What are the 5 holistic practices that actually improve someone's credit worthiness and loan approval chances beyond just paying bills on time?
So first, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on me so you understand why I'm here on wellness and talking about finance. Can I do that for like 2 seconds?
Yes.
All right. So, shameless plug. My social media page is called Medicine the Number Two Mortgages, meaning medicine to mortgages. Go ahead and follow me. Thank you. But it's a double entendre. One, I was in the medical field. I was in medical school. I was going to be a doctor. I did not become one, obviously. Right. So medicine pivoted to the mortgage industry. The second part of that is I'm usually the medicine to your mortgage problem. I don't want to be all problem based, but I get through quite a few things, right? Um, and so when we're talking about the pain points of lending, I work with a lot of first time home buyers, I work with first time investors, and some seasoned investors. A lot of the challenges that come from that space is always going to come with number one, lack of therapy. Why do you say that? We have so much generational trauma around finance, housing instability, the history of slavery. Just all of those things are compounded here in this wonderful country that we all live in, right? But we have just recently, I would say in the last 10 years, started picking up speed with wealth building. But we haven't addressed the trauma around, am I deserving of wealth? Do I do I deserve to save? Do I deserve to own this house? Can I have this house? Can I maintain this house? And I say that personally because I also have the same anxieties, right? I've been a mortgage lender for over 10 years. I still have anxieties about paying my own mortgage because of the family history, the financial history. So when we're talking about holistic approaches that have nothing to do with budget and financing, please go to therapy. I've been in therapy for like 5, 6 years. My therapist loves me. I love her too. It's helped. It's helped. Um, and a kind of caveat to that too, having friends or people in my life who give wise counsel, right? I get so into everyone else's business and helping them. I sometimes forget that I need to pull myself away from it and focus on what are my next goals. What do I need to do for myself? What have I been neglecting for myself? So again, therapy, and right underneath that, wise counsel from people you know and trust. Those are great mentors. You need to have some, and if you don't have any, you need to make friends with people in the room. Okay. Another holistic approach, which is going to be about your budgeting, which was mentioned on a couple panels before, but I'm just going to go ahead and drive down on that. Our emotional spending. Oh, mm, that response. Okay, so we're on the same page. I'm sweating a little bit. It's okay. That's all right. Hold on. Let me sway the bangs. Emotional spending. Um, I recognized this during the pandemic. Once everyone was home, and once everyone had nowhere to go, a lot of us found out we spend a lot of money on nothing because we had nowhere to go, right? So I watched a lot of my clients stop spending recklessly, and I closed a lot of deals at that time. Rates were low, but people were like, oh, let me buy a house, right? But they stopped spending so recklessly. But then the minute the world opened back up again, credit card debt went up. Affirm accounts are open. Everyone's doing layaway. That's what we call it. I'm aging myself now. It's not installment pays, it's layaway, right? All of that is increased. But we do it so much because we're tired, we're stressed, we need a quick endorphin fix, and our phones are constantly in our hands. So we have got to get a handle on our emotional spending. We have to take a moment to address, why am I spending so much money? Is it out of convenience? Am I really cutting out time in my day? Or do I just feel like I need to have this thing that's going to sit in the closet in the bag with the tags on it? Right?
Yes.
So go to therapy, wise cancel, stop it, get a handle on the emotional spending and stop doing emotional spending. Take a moment to figure out what's lacking in your life so that you stop doing emotional spending. You will find a lot of times we're not the happiest people. Hence why I made therapy the first point. See where I'm going with this? All right. So then we get to three. Another part of our spending. I haven't even really touched on full finance yet. How we eat. Got a plant based specialist over here, my girl. I love it. Right? How we eat. We buy and order everything. We don't even spend time to cook our food and sit with our family. It's another part of our health. How much time do you give yourself in a day to sit with the people that you love and you care about to just say, how was your day? How are you feeling? I made this meal for you. That's a love language. Y'all remember that? Everybody grew up with a mom or aunt or somebody in the family who cooked? Show of hands. Oh, okay. See, y'all grew. So remember the love you felt with that food came out and got put on the table and y'all sat down and ate together and talked. Now it's Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, Instacart. Grab it from the front door, toss it in. There's food here, y'all. There's snacks here, and you go back to whatever it is you're doing. But that's a lot of money. It's like if I gotta tell you what I see, it's about $400 a week. I'm not lying. I can really pull up somebody's bank statement. I can't for obvious reasons, right? It's 400 a week just on eating out, and it's all being delivered to your house. So therapy, find you some confidants and wise counsel. Second, get on top of your emotional spending. Third, start cooking your food again. You would save a lot of money. Truly. Okay. Now I still got to do two more, right? Okay. Give me that question one more time.
Yes. So, as a lender, you see financial stress patterns. What are five holistic practices that actually improve someone's credit worthiness and loan approval chances beyond just paying bills on time?
Gotcha. I've tackled stop spending money in 3 different ways, but spend money on therapy though. Your insurance covers it, I promise you. But if we're going to get into number 4, which is a tricky one, saying no. Oh, I'm so sorry. Um, Here's who you're going to be saying no to, and I'm very sorry in advance. No to mom. No to dad. If you're a single mother, no to your kids. No to that friend who always got something going on every 2, 3 weeks, and next thing you turn around, they already in another emergency, right? No. No is very, yes and no can be very expensive depending on who you say it to and for what. And I'm going to talk to my ladies because, ladies, I think we struggle with this the most when it comes to people pleasing because we're so accustomed to showing up in spaces and being the bridge between the next thing. And I'm holding the glue, I'm the Band-Aid. Okay, that's great. You done said yes to everybody and you bankrupt.
Yeah.
That dream you had for yourself and for your family is now delayed because you made the decision to say yes and you need to say no. The other part is our economy has changed. So you can't keep saying yes to your kids to give them the lifestyle that you feel like they deserve in order to compensate for the father that's not present because you may not have had the best relationship, situation, and now your kids have all these yeses to things and items and you have no to a house that gives them stability and a roof over their head. So you got to start saying no. And again, I haven't even touched finance yet. I'm just talking the emotional aspect of things, right? Because that's what I see. That's what I'm seeing every day. The emotions that come into buying a home is what's hindering people from completing the process, even my investors. Okay? So the last thing, get yourself a solid financial advisor so they can help you budget. Yes, 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 back there, thank you. So they help you budget, help you put a financial game plan together, but also make sure they're keeping you accountable. Notice how I gave you 4 emotional things and 1 practical thing of hiring somebody. Well, I did tell you to hire a therapist, but that's still emotional, right? It's a 90% of lending for me at this point, and honestly, my whole career of 10 years has been emotional, all of it. From believing you can buy the house, to believing you need to get the assistance, to talking it through with the therapist, to allowing your lender, hey, how you doing, to tell you you are tripping and you need to save more money, to recognizing that if you saved once in your life, whether it's $2,000, $5,000, $200, you can save again. It's okay to spend it if it means it's going to put you in a better position. I am battling all of the mindsets around lack. I'm battling all the capitalistic mindsets around things you should have, and I'm battling everybody's depression all at the same time. So, run that back for you. Get a therapist, have some worthy confidants as well outside of your therapist, because you got to put some of this into action. That's why you have a good confidant, okay? 2, I need you to work on your emotional spending, which means establish where your emotions are and why you're spending recklessly. And I'll give you a little tidbit here. If you can't buy it 3 times in cash, you shouldn't be getting it. That's my personal rule. I kick myself about my car note every day. Moving on. And then number 3, you need to start cooking your own food. That's a health thing. That's a quality time thing. That's something that builds with the people around you. That's community building. Okay? I done forgot my 4, but I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna skip to 5. And I know I told you guys to make sure you get a financial planner. And I said, yes, say no more often. Those are my 5.
Thank you for that. I just want to piggyback on 2 things that you said that struck a nerve, and that was the Uber Eats, because one day I took out my bank statement and it was 2 pages of just Uber Eats. I was like, what are you doing? And it was, because it's fees upon fees upon fees just to get a $5 burger. And my accountant was like, what is this? I never want to see this again. So that speaks to getting wise counsel. Someone's not going to co-sign your nonsense and your shenanigans. And that trauma, that depression, and shopping to like feel something inside. My sister comes to my house all the time. She's like, I'm shopping your closet because I know you ain't take the tags off and none of that stuff. So that is real. And spending money, just to feel something, to have that endorphin rush, it doesn't really satisfy you in the long run, because you toss that thing in the closet, you forget about it. So those things were really sage. Thank you for sharing those. So Lisa, Going back to, so money trauma is real. And I feel like everybody has a story around money trauma, probably in this room. Um, how do you help women overcome limiting beliefs about wealth building when they come from backgrounds where, quote unquote, money is the root of all evil, or quote unquote, rich people are greedy?
So good. Limiting beliefs. Okay, here's who you need to become. Repeat after me. Behavior
Behavior
follows
follows
belief.
belief.
Every single circumstance you have in your life right now, everything you have and everything you don't have is a result of something you believe. Every single thing. So behavior follows belief. So the first thing I need you to understand is if you want something different, if you want your outcomes to change, if you want your results to change, you have to believe something different first. Your pace in life, your success in life will never outpace what you believe. So that's who you need to become. Beliefs run everything because you get a lot of practical information when you come to events like this. But when you are watching someone else who's successful and you're trying to figure out how to get similar results, it's not that they have something that you don't have, it's that you have something that they don't have. You have a limiting belief, you have an insecurity, you have a doubt. So behavior follows belief. Now let's talk about how to do it. To change your belief, you have to do two things. The first thing is what I call excavation. That means whenever you have a doubt or belief about something, in coaching, the way we coach people is by asking them questions. So if you're gonna self-coach, you're gonna start by asking yourself why. So short story, many years ago, I had hired a business coach, one of my first business coaches, and she said, Lisa, I need you to raise your prices. They're too low. And I was scared. I was scared to raise my prices in my business, y'all. At that time, we were charging like $500 for like a 12-week coaching program. And by the way, I reversed type 2 diabetes. I put, autoimmune conditions in remission. I just got a woman is 46, she in her first trimester. So thank you. So I want to be clear that I get results. Like I wasn't new to the business, right? And she's like, for the results that you get, people, you're charging too low. I was so scared to raise my prices. And so instead of just stopping at that first step of like, well, why? Oh, because I'm just scared people aren't going to pay. I asked myself why about 7 times. This is excavation. This is digging. Well, why? Because I'm worried about what people will think. Well, why are you worried about what your people will think? Because they're going to think if I raise my prices that I'm not for the people. Well, what's wrong with them thinking that you're too expensive? Well, then they're going to judge me. They're going to think that, right, I had to dig, dig, dig. And at the end of the day, I was worried about what people thought of me. I wasn't scared to raise the price. I was worried about perception, right? And so you have to excavate your own beliefs. Why do I believe that? Well, what's wrong with that? Well, why that, right? Then the second step in overcoming a limiting belief is we have to employ the scientific method. Anytime you have a hypothesis about something, people aren't going to pay when I raise my prices. We then, in science, we take it to the lab and we test it. So you go raise your prices. You go do the exact thing that you're scared of. Not to see if you were right or wrong, right? The mission is to prove or disprove your hypothesis, but the most important mission is to collect data, right? So what did I do? I went and raised my prices from 500 to 2,000. And what did people do? They paid it, right? And so first we excavate to understand what we're really afraid of so we can do that personal development work. And then we employ the scientific method. We test our hypothesis about what we believe, we gather data, and then we adjust as necessary. Does that make sense? So behavior follows belief. If you want different results, you believe something different, but it's not as easy as hitting a switch. You have to dig and understand, why do I believe that? Why do I believe that? And then we can go from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, Elizabeth, walk us through how you counsel clients who are house poor or over leveraged. What's your step-by-step process for helping them restructure without losing their investments?
Whew. So it really depends on a couple things. One, depends if you're married. It depends if you're single. And if you're married, it depends if both of you are on that mortgage, on that title and deed or not. So I'm going to start with the hardest one, which is if you're single and your house poor and over leveraged. First things first, I'm looking at income. Where are we short? Why are we short? What can you do to increase your income? 9 times out of 10, if you're house poor or over leveraged, you have a income or a cash flow problem, and it has to be resolved immediately. Now, it also depends when you come to me. I would love to be the medicine to that problem, but if you come to me when you are 90 days to almost 6 months in, there's going to be very little I can do for you as a lender other than tell you, to be quite frank, you're either going to sell that home immediately as a short sale, or you're going to go through the foreclosure process. Just to be honest with you, I'm not going, no fluff here, okay? We get right to it. If you get to me early enough, there are a couple things that I will advise you to do. But I'm going to say, one, you need to talk to your servicer, see if you can do a hardship. Because if you're over leveraged and you're underwater, that also means that mortgage is not getting paid. Let's be factual. No fluff around that either. Talk to your servicer. And I say this because most people don't think they can. If you're behind on your mortgage, I hope none of you are, but if you are, call your servicer. They will absolutely assist you, especially if you own or occupy, with getting out of that mortgage. Oh, I'm sorry, not out of the mortgage, but doing a modification to the mortgage. Here's why. It's more expensive for me as a lender to foreclose you. If you live in that home, you didn't put enough money down. You most likely did not put down 20%. You put down a minimum, use the grant program. The reality is, it is a greater loss for me. So I want to help you keep that home if you live in it. Now, if you're an investor, you have 30 minutes. Sorry. As an investor, you put down your 15, 20%, baby, we take that home and we put that bad boy up for share sale or put it where we need to. So at that point, you really will only have about, once they send you the letter, 90 days, okay? So owner occupied, living in the home, single, get ahead of it the minute you fall behind. Talk to the servicer, okay? The second suggestion I'm going to do after I talk about income and talking with the servicer and tell you to up your income, which you're going to need to do, pick up the extra job. I'm sorry, you're going to lose some sleep. Make the sacrifice. But the second part I'm going to advise as a single homeowner is that you're most likely going to need to do a refinance or find someone in your family who can get on that deed with you to do a refinance. That's a huge ask, okay? A huge one. But it keeps you from losing the asset as well. So if you can't do the modification for whatever reason that may be, and you're making more income but not fast enough to catch up, you need to start finding out who can do the refinance with you. Get them to a quick claim deed, add them onto the deed, whatever you need to do, then do something called a rate and term refinance with the new borrower, okay? Or have them just do the refinance and you just stay on title and deed and get off the mortgage. Those are things you can do within proper steps and legal rights. If you are married and you are underwater and over leveraged, as a primary owner, same steps, but I'm going to ask if husband and or wife is on that mortgage or on that title and deed. We're going to skip a step. Let's not even talk to the servicer at this point. Let's see which of you has the stronger income and just go ahead and refinance it into that spouse's name, okay? That buys you some time. You can still do a modification if you'd like, but something tells me if income is the struggle and one of you is responsible, you guys are gonna have to up that income. But if you wanna keep that house, refinance it into a family member's name, work out the particulars and the deals legally so that you guys can keep the home in your name. Now, investors. Investment is a different game. You already put a large amount of money into the deal. We're either gonna have to sell, there are some refinances that can be very strategic to help you even if you're behind on your payments, but I'm gonna tell you now, you're probably gonna lose that asset if we're at the point where you have to talk to me about hardship. And I say that because I said it earlier, as an investor, you have put more skin in the game up front. As a lender, I have nothing to lose at this point. I'm taking the property back from you. So you either need to leverage some other assets or investments, which I'll talk to you about. Do you have an IRA, self-directed, a 401k? Can you, if we're in a 6-month period of it, can you take money from those assets to pay what you owe? It is increasingly difficult when I'm dealing with investors who are behind on their mortgage because that's a larger issue. And I'm gonna tell you now, more investors are behind on their mortgages than homeowners because they don't live there. So they're not afraid of losing the roof over their head. We know that. That's why we take the home. I'm being honest. It doesn't take long. So if you live in that home, you have far more leeway, and I can work with you 6 different steps sometimes. But if you're an investor, you're most likely going to have to let that asset go. But I would advise you short sale it or sell before you have to go through the foreclosure process so that you keep your credit clear and you can move on to the next property when you're ready. At that point, as an investor, the sooner you intervene, the easier it is for you to rebound later. And that's really what's going to be important. As a homeowner, meaning you live in the property, you have far more room to fail and get it fixed. And I mean that. So do not waste time talking to your servicer or talking to another mortgage loan officer to give you ideas. Okay? I hope that answered the question.
Yes,
It's very
it did.
complicated.
Yes. Lisa, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. How do you help high achieving women define what enough looks like so they don't sacrifice their health and relationships chasing the next deal?
Okay, so y'all, I live my life by this concept that I teach called radical obedience. And this is what I define as doing what you're being called to do by God, despite the presence of fear and uncertainty. And to live a life of radical obedience, it grants you favor, it aligns you with favor. So when individuals are afraid to take chances on themselves, when they have aspirations and they have dreams, but the fear and uncertainty is stopping them, I teach them what it means to live this life of radical obedience. So the thing I need you to believe here is that radical obedience, doing what I'm being called to do, despite the presence of fear and uncertainty, grants me favor. When I'm in alignment with God, it grants me favor. So in 2012, I quit my 9-to-5 as a social worker. I was overweight before I quit. So in January of that year, I hired my first personal trainer. I was still working for the state of Michigan as a foster care worker in social work. And Tiffany, she worked in social work with me. She used to come in the office all the time, calves popping, arms popping, eating this parfait. Yogurt, blueberries, granola every day. Yogurt, blueberries, granola every day. And I finally was like, Tiff, you eat the same thing every single day? She said, yes. I said, dang. And then she's like, but I'm also a personal trainer. I can hook you up. I said, okay. I went down to the gym. Tiff became my first personal trainer. She helped me lose my first 30 pounds. I went on to lose another 35. But when I lost my first 30 pounds with Tiff in January of 2012 to like October, I don't think it was a coincidence that in the fall of that year, I quit my 9-to-5. One of the best things you can do for yourself if you want to go to the next level is optimize your health. It boosts your confidence, and it gives you mental clarity so you can become a better decision maker. So I lost 30 plus pounds with Tiff. I quit my 9-to-5. I moved to Italy to work at the United States Embassy for no salary. I cashed in my 401k and took the penalties. That might be against everything y'all believe here. I don't know if I just, damn, I should have asked you ahead of time, could I say that? I might have broke a rule, but I cashed in my 401k, took the penalties, and I moved abroad to Italy, lost another 35 pounds. After that, got back to the US, then moved to China, floating off this body. I'm not even joking. It was so much confidence. It was so much I have endurance now. It was so much I don't get winded when I got to do stuff. I speak a lot for a living, y'all, a lot. And we have people who have trusted us at my company with their most valuable asset, their health. I got to be the best version of myself for my assignment. I have to. So for me, the reason I don't eat sugar and the reason I eat the way I eat and move the way I move, even though I lost my weight years ago, the reason I'm still just as serious about the way I move, the way I meditate, the way I pray, the way I eat, is because my assignment requires it. I am going to make Black history. I am going to extend the healthy life expectancy for people of color, and I gotta be my best self to do it, and I probably gotta live to 150. Y'all know? So whatever you're trying to do and go to the next level, start with your personal health first. You unstoppable when you feel your best. The mental clarity, the peace that I have sitting right here with one shoulder out on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta show up with that. Like, it's gotta be a vibe. You gotta feel good. So radical obedience grants you favor. Whatever you're scared of, once you're sure that God told you to do it, go do it. And I can give y'all 4 characteristics of radical obedience real quick. You want me to do that real quick?
Yes.
Okay. Here's how I define radical obedience. I'm writing a book about it right now, but this is what makes your obedience radical. Number 1, that it's complete, not partial. Do everything God told you to do, not some of it. Don't only do the parts that make you feel comfortable. So your obedience becomes radical when it's complete, not partial. Number two, your obedience becomes radical when it's immediately and not eventually. He told you to do that 2 years ago. He told you to do that 6 months ago. Number three, your obedience becomes radical when it's done with a spirit of joy and not begrudgingly, not hesitantly, but you smile in pleasure and in service to God. And finally, your obedience becomes radical when it's done with innocence and not expectation. You do it because you've been told to do it, not because you're waiting for a certain ROI. And that is living a life of radical obedience.
Yes. Woo. Um, Elizabeth, you approach lending from a holistic perspective. How do you help clients align their financial goals with their personal values? And what happens when someone's investment strategy conflicts with their life purpose?
I'm about to say, that's a whole word beforehand. I'm like, ooh. Okay. So I spend a lot of time asking people their why, and then their when, and then where. And I ask, why do you want to buy a home? Or why do you want an investment property? What's your game plan? For the newbies, they're very starry-eyed, very excited. I just want to be able to put the paint up on my walls, whatever it is, right? And I love that. And then I say, okay, when do you want to do this by? That's always the tricky question, right? Because sometimes like, oh, by the end of the year. Uh-huh. Oh, by next year. Okay. By tomorrow. Oh, okay. And then the where is where do you want to live? And a lot of times I am collecting what I call she said collecting data. That's my data. Those are my data points. A lot of times I learn very quickly how prepared someone is to buy, because depending on the timeline, I can tell how cautious they are, if they're risk adverse, or if they're unrealistic. Okay, so of course my people who need to move in 2 weeks, very unrealistic. They're not gonna get that house, and that's fine. We put them on a 6-month plan. But after that, those clients who tell me, oh yeah, by the end of the year, okay, I'm gonna pull your credit today. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna do a financial review on your credit report. I don't know too many lenders who do that, but I do. I go through your credit report and I tell you where you're tripping. Yes, I do. Have to. Once I've done that, I look at what's in the bank, and then I have a real conversation about numbers. And 9 times out of 10, those clients who say they want to buy by the end of the year are usually in a home within a matter of 3 to 6 months with me. Because at that point, you let me pull your credit. I went through a financial game plan with you and told you what's going on with your credit, and now I've advised you on where you need to make changes. So all this stuff I talk about when I say spending, emotional spending, the DoorDashes, the Amazons, all of that, I look at that and I say, hey, all this has to come out. I give them about 3 weeks to stop. If they don't, we're pushing out your deadline. Again, this tells me who's serious and who's not, right? If I can get you to stop doing the one thing you're addicted to in 3 weeks because you want to buy a house, and I showed you what the numbers look like, I showed you how we can get you into that house that you dream of, and it won't kill you to do it, we're good to go there, right? Now, the second part of that question was, what happens when I see that there's a conflict between what they want to do and what their investment strategy is and their life purpose? Yes. So that one's not as challenging as it sounds, because a lot of times people have their purpose confused with an obligation. And so we start having conversations. I'm like, oh, okay, I see you want to do this on the 3rd, and you want to do it by October. But I don't see any money saved. What's going on there? I get an answer, and then I challenge them to say, why don't you have any money saved? This is what you want to do in the next 6 months. And when I find that they're saying, hey, this is it, and this is what I want to do, and this is how it works, I say, you're not prepared to take that on. Case in point, I had a client who was gung-ho about doing a renovation loan on a multifamily. And I talked to them. I knew what they did for a living, very decent job, good income, but they didn't have the bandwidth for a renovation loan. And those of us who've done renovation loans know that you are hiring a contractor. You have to qualify that contractor. Sometimes you have to fire that contractor. You have to be at the site sometimes of the property when they're doing the inspections. There's so many moving parts to that, along with qualifying for this mortgage and then going to settlement and then still having to follow through with all those same steps. And I just simply said to them, do you think you can manage a multifamily and a renovation loan? Can you manage being a landlord where you have to check in with a tenant and make sure the repairs are being done on your property? Once we got through all those steps in the process and what it was, they were like, I don't think I can do this. I was like, okay, well, let's just do a single family. Let's start there. And then I'm gonna put you in touch with a real estate investment group in Philly. In a year, they bought their duplex as their second property after owning for a year, just from getting proper mentorship. So I say all that to say, when I find that people aren't in line with their purpose, or they're trying to go after what the clickbait is, right? What's on YouTube, what shows up on Instagram. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, do I have the bandwidth for it? Because sometimes you don't. I, for one, thought I was gonna do a renovation loan, my first house. I manage 10, 15 clients a month sometimes more. I don't have the bandwidth. And I saw that in this client, and I said, you don't have the bandwidth, let's do something else. But a year later, they got their multifamily. They have the supports in place to do it. So a lot of times, it's not that you feel obligated to do something because you're motivated and everyone else is doing it. It's sometimes you gotta take a step back and say, you know what, this is what's manageable for me right now. And then I said, here are the supports for the next step of what you want to do so that it's manageable for you at that time. And that's really what it boils down to. You got to I assess where people are and what they need. One, so it's enjoyable for both of us to go through this process together, because I'm going to be with you for the life of your mortgage and the next properties you buy. But also, I would like you to smile when you see your mortgage statement come in the mail and my name is on it, and say, hey, I have a good support here, and I know she has resources for me. So I'm giving you resources and I'm pumping your brakes, because you're not about to stress me out.
I love that answer, and I love how you really help the borrower through the process. I've gone through mortgages, and one was really pleasurable, and I still talk to that person today, and he's like always, do you need help? What are you trying to buy? Blah, blah, blah. And then I had one that ghosted me. And it was very traumatic because I was just like, well, what did I do? This is my first property, and he's not calling me back. You done ran my credit. You done had me submit all this paperwork. And I'm like, did he run off with my identity? Like, what's happening here? So it does matter, especially when you have someone that is invested in your success.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna piggyback on it. So here's the thing with me. Because I came from being of service in like the medical field, in the mental health industry, my mind doesn't know not how to solve problems or be of a resource, right? And I'm saying that from a standpoint of, and then understanding the history of us buying real estate and owning something. I have my own anxieties around the process, and I do it for a living, right? So imagine I'm the industry expert having my own anxieties trying to buy my first house. I can only imagine what it's like not knowing anything about this industry, right? And then I like to think about it, well, if I did that to do this for my mom, how would I treat my mom in this process? So I'm going to treat you the same way I think about treating my mom, which I did refinance my mom out of a bad mortgage, by the way. But it's just, those are things that are important to me from a community standpoint. I'm here to make money, yes, but I'm also here to, from a purpose space, I'm here for my community.
That's beautiful. And that is the type of support that we need as investors, as women in this business, and gentlemen in this business, to have supportive, counsel, as you said, Lisa, and Elizabeth, to have the right people around you to give you, the right direction and support. So that's why rooms like this is important, events like this is important, so that you can tap into the individuals that is on the same path as you, that's about to embark on the same journey as you. So I am so, so proud of everyone that is in this room that have made the investment in themselves to be here, to get the gems, to, meet like-minded people, to, network in a few minutes up in VIP with everyone. So I'm really excited about that. We are wrapping up. I want to thank my beautiful guests, Elizabeth and Lisa. Thank you so much. And I want to give a special thank you to Elizabeth because along with Celsius, sponsored this wellness panel. She is she's a champion for just wellness and getting to the bag. So we appreciate that.
Money's good for your mental health. Money is good for your mental health. I don't care. That's a general
That part.
curse that I had to break. I was like, oh, no, no. The money is not a devil. It is a tool. Money is good for your mental health. So please make as much of it as you can. All right.
Absolutely.